Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Shawning. I really wish I had one of those buttons that like every time I would press it, it would just say The Shawning and like there would be an applause and stuff. That would be a lot easier and I wouldn't have to say it every time I opened up a video. I'm more excited to talk about some nostalgia because today we're going to be looking at my favorite horror movies from my childhood. The kicker with that is I was not a big horror fan when I was younger, so there was not a large selection of movies to pick from. I do remember the movies that I was really hung up on, and the only reason I remember is because I have them, just about all of them, on VHS. So I have them all separate, and I'm excited to dive in to my favorite horror movies of my childhood. And like always, do not forget to like and subscribe, because who wouldn't want to watch videos of me talking about movies that I like? I mean, come on. Everybody would love to see that. So, now we can talk about my favorite movies from my childhood. The first movie I'm going to talk about, though, we're just going to put it in like an honorable mention section, because I have talked about it in several different videos, and that's going to be Freddy vs. Jason. Obviously, I was born in 98, and Freddy vs. Jason wasn't too long after that. And so I have watched Freddy vs. Jason probably a million times. I just watched it again this week, and I genuinely don't think I'm ever going to get tired of that movie. I know there's a lot of people that are very, very hard on that movie, and I do see it from a perspective like if you were born in the 80s and you were going through each of these, big franchises, so, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and then you're going to see it finally, I don't know the word I was looking for, but it leads up to this, movie where you get to see Freddy and Jason go at it, and I feel like people just set the bar way too far and way too high. But I still think it's a great movie. I think the effects are fun, and I think it's definitely one of the best looking films out of either franchise. So Freddy vs. Jason is amazing, and it is a huge part of my childhood. Like I said previously, I was not a very big horror fan when I was younger, so I didn't have a lot of scary movies that I liked, per se. So these five that I got together definitely made the list. I've watched them multiple times, and yeah. So the next one is one that I really do not hear a lot about. However, I hear about its predecessors all the time. That would be Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 1 and 2 are awesome and I love them. However, I was a huge Army of Darkness fan because they're so cheesy, way more so than Evil Dead. Bruce Campbell is amazing. He's still Ash, so it's the same character. It's just the story is a little bit different and the name is different. And so I enjoy Army of Darkness 1 and 2. The effects are terrible, okay? They're not good. They didn't age well. They didn't age good back then. But they're still really fun, and everybody loves a little cheese sometimes, so you can't even act like that you don't. Army of Darkness is great, and yeah. The next one, though, on this list is I'm gonna say an underrated gem. That's gonna be 13 Ghosts. I'm trying to get the glare, but okay. 13 Ghosts is amazing, extremely underrated. You have Matthew Lillard, who is Matthew Lillard. I mean, there's nothing wrong you can say towards him. It's Matthew Lillard. The effects are great. I like half and half. I think that the ghosts themselves, the practical effects side of things, are really good. I think that the Jackal is the one that really messed me up. Just because, yeah, the Jackal scared everyone. I don't have to give you reasoning. The Jackal was just terrifying. However, it was really funny because I thought, up until recently, I always thought the Jackal was female. It's not. So if you also thought the Jackal ghost was a female, it's not. 13 Ghosts was really good, though. I think the story was awesome. The same people who did 13 Ghosts also did House on Haunted Hill back in '99. So that one was really fun, too. If you haven't seen that one, I recommend it. You can definitely see visually they're by the same people. It looks, the look is very similar. But I think that the story and overall concept of the movie itself is really fun. And I would really like to see a remake of this, maybe like even a Netflix series or something like that. I think that would be really fun. But yeah, I definitely think that 13 Ghosts is one of the most underrated horror movies ever. And I watched it so much when I was a kid. Even to the point that it actually was my little brother's favorite scary movie as well. And so yeah, 13 Ghosts is a classic. Definitely watch it if you haven't. And you already know I was not going to get through this entire list without having a Stephen King on here, because I'm a huge Stephen King fan. However, I did not, so It is my favorite, and I've mentioned that before, but It did not become my favorite till a little bit later once I already got involved into horror. So before that, it was Rose Red. No one talks about Rose Red, and it's really depressing because everyone should talk about Rose Red. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one because I did a full video dedicated to the glory known as Rose Red, and so you can go watch that if you would like. So, but long story short, I think Rose Red by far is the best haunted house movie / series, whatever you want to consider it, ever. Of course there's The Conjuring and there's things like that, but I'm talking about the story behind the house itself. I think that Rose Red definitely takes the cake. I think that the overall storytelling and the characters are beautifully developed, and I just think that everything about Rose Red is completely perfect. Like, I know the effects are a little cheesy, but Stephen King was never a big CGI person to begin with. A lot of his films and adaptations used practical effects. Rose Red was no different than that. He used practical effects in it, and a lot of the miniseries had those really kind of cheesy effects, but they were great. Except the Langoliers, that was just dreadful. So, number 2 on this list is going to be the Wes Craven classic, Scream. And yeah, I'm going to show you my bougie cover, because I got really excited when I found this on Etsy. So, I love Scream. I actually have binged watched Scream like twice in the last 2 weeks. So this is my second watch through of the franchise in 2 weeks, and I don't know why I'm just so hung up on it right now. But I have always been a huge fan of Scream, even when I was younger, because my mom loves Scream as well. So these last 2 entries are definitely because of my mom, because she is the one that got me to watch them, and I've been watching them religiously ever since. Scream came out, it was either 96 or 98, but I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was born in 98. So I kind of grew up with the Scream franchise, and I have fallen in love with every single entry of that franchise. I think overall it is the strongest horror franchise. I know there's only going to be 5 entries, and compared to the other ones, there's like 9, 12, and too damn many. But it's okay, because I think that that's why Scream is so effective. I think that the use of the same cast and the creativity of the kills in each movie they're all different. And just, I think that the cat and mouse aspect in a slasher is really what got me into horror, because I can definitely attribute my love for horror to the slasher film. And I think that Scream, if it was not for John Carpenter, I definitely would say that Scream would be the strongest, best slasher franchise out there, period. If there was no Halloween in the picture, I genuinely believe that Scream would have filled that spot beautifully. Now we're at number 1. And I have a feeling that a lot of you may already know which movie I'm going to show, but that's okay. It's going to be... I'm pretty sure this is everyone's number 1, or just about. It's either this, The Exorcist, or like Hellraiser. So yeah, Halloween is probably the greatest horror movie of all time. It can be argued. I don't recommend trying, because I just don't think that's an argument you want to get into with people, because it's a long argument. However, I think that it definitely changed horror forever, without a doubt. And I think out of any movie to revolutionize horror the way it did, Halloween has got to be the most influential. I have been watching Halloween since I was born because my mom watches it every year. Every year at Halloween she watches it. She has a whole marathon where she'll watch them all. Well, I was, of course, introduced to this tradition, and so every year we have a Halloween-a-thon, and we watch every single Halloween. Obviously, we don't just wait and do it the once a year, so I end up watching Halloween a jillion times throughout the year because I just can't get enough of Halloween. And I do like a lot of the other entries in the franchise, but the original Halloween is a classic. I think John Carpenter's a genius, and I can still watch that movie. And like, there's still little things that I'll notice that I had never noticed before. Like, Michael is in the background, but like, you really cannot see him. I want to say this was at Lindsay Wallace's house when Annie is talking on the phone, and like, you can see his mask. I didn't see the mask, so you know, I spent 22 years of my life watching Halloween, and I never noticed that Michael was back there. Never saw it until, you know, I watched it. We were watching it last year, and sure enough, I was like, what? Michael's there? Yeah, completely freaked out. It was a great moment. That just goes to show how effective this movie really is. Now, I know it could definitely just be me terrible at paying attention, and we could definitely just say that, and nobody would contest that. But it also would be cool if we could just say, no, that's how good the movie is, that, you know, we're still picking up on things even now. And I mean, obviously it's not that bad of a movie because they're still making entries. Shout out to Halloween Kills, because I watched that trailer. It looks like it's going to be brutal. So I'm really excited about the future of Halloween, because Halloween has practically been my life. And so I thank you, John Carpenter, for that. Those are just the movies that I watched in my childhood. I know it's not a lot, but these movies are what definitely set the foundation for my love for horror now. I know that you all can't see all of the collection, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely gotten out of control. Definitely did not understand back then how addictive horror movies are now. So I'm just very thankful that I was able to get introduced to horror, and that I had a mom who totally loved horror movies too. And now my whole family loves horror movies, and that's thanks to me. So, you know, it's kind of cool to pass down the knowledge and love for horror. That is all I have to say about that. Please drop in the comments some video recommendations you would like me to watch. You know, I love watching new movies. I don't know why I said video. I meant to say movie. Oh no, there's a bug on me. Anyway, if there's any movies you'd like me to watch, please drop them in the comments. I love watching new movies. Also, if there is any rankings or any ideas for videos you have, drop those in the comments too. I like taking suggestions, and that means I don't have to think. So anything that means I don't have to think is perfect. I like simplistic. Thank you for watching. Come back and see again. Keep it creepy and stay safe.